This is the Choosing Joy podcast with me, Jodi Lynn Turpin. Take a breath, feel it all, choose joy anyway. Hello and welcome back to the Choosing Joy podcast. It's me, Jodi Lynn Turpin. How are you? How is your heart? How has your 2026 been so far? I've gotten information all over the board from friends and family and even myself. And I just pray that it is going well and you're finding peace or relaxation or forward momentum, whatever the beginning of your year has looked like. And today I would love to talk about expectations. This has been coming up a lot in my circle and honestly with a couple of the women that I've been working with. And I think it's really important, especially coming out of December in 2025. It's a holiday season for a lot of people. Some people don't celebrate, but you're getting together. There's a lot of parties. There's a lot of gatherings with friends or family. And just how that can feel and what's expected around that. Even if you've been moving forward the whole year and really, changing the way that you're feeling through things and you're healing and you're doing different, family can remind us of the nipping and tucking we still need to do on our spiritual journeys and our connection. And yeah, it's such a gift, even though it doesn't feel like that a lot of the time. And so when I speak about expectations in this point, yes, it can go both ways. It can be the expectations around family, and it can be the expectations of ourselves during the holidays. And both have a lot of hold on on the way we feel and the way we talk to people and the way we do things, like the expectations of ourselves. Like, did we have to make cookies in December and give them out to everyone? Or did we let it feel good? It was a choice, not that we expected ourselves to do, that we had to do it, or thought everyone else would expect us to give them cookies. And that's just one example, but I'm speaking in general about that. So how were you with expectations with yourself? Did you let yourself relax? Did you hold yourself to parts that didn't feel right around family, that you pushed too hard, you did too much, but you expected yourself to do that because you thought other people expected you too. So just think about that. That's a good thing to journal about moving forward, about how you want to, maybe you got a birthday party in February and you can just test those waters again and feel into it. But today I really want to talk about the expectations we have of other people, of our family, of our friends, of, people at our work or anything else, and how much that affects so many people. And like I said, I'm bringing this up because even today in one of my sessions with one of my ladies, pretty much the whole session was about expectations. And it started with a lot of anger or just, not being able to let it go, like having a special or certain expectation of people. And then it ended so gently and beautifully. And I kind of just want to talk about that session. I did get the permission of the person. I'm not going to say her name, but I'm so grateful to be able to speak about her personal experience. So we started, there were tears, a lot of anger, and it's specifically about in-laws and how, before she got married, hoping to have, this just extra family, this beautiful other people to live amongst and be a community with and love her and her husband and, their children and future children. And that just hasn't been the case. And so, say someone's sick and you would hope that a close family member would reach out. Are you okay? Can I do anything for you? Can I suggest a funny movie? Things like that. Or if a party has to be rescheduled, instead of just saying, no, we're not going, you have an expectation, oh, maybe they'll invite me to a different one or this or that. And what it boils down to is that we can't have expectations of other people like that. The maturity, the emotional maturity level of all people is so different. So that may be in your heart to reach out to someone when you're sick or to reschedule or to do something like that. But in other people's hearts, it's not in their wheelhouse. That is not how they were raised. That is not how they have grown in the world. And they do not have the capacity to do that. So when we lower our expectations and even remove them, which I know is so challenging, it does start to smooth out because we just meet them where they're at. We accept them as they are. We accept the conversations that will come out are, just about cooking and children instead of a deep spiritual conversation. Or, it might just mean that you arrive at a party, you give your hugs, pass over the plate you made, and you hang out with the kids the whole time. And that might not be an option for you, but you know what I mean. Maybe you just sit and not watch the football game with the people watching the football game, but that's how it's going to look. And then say our family is full of love and full of everything is wonderful. There's always great food and there's always great connection and stories and things, but maybe people are feeling a little bit under. So if we go there expecting it's going to be wonderful. It might be wonderful in a different way. Maybe it's more of a quiet setup or a quiet setting at that party instead of that full on, deep conversation. Maybe you lay around and watch a movie instead at that party. So in talking about lowering the expectations, you have to feel that in your heart. So you go in knowing what you want, but you don't need it. You don't need to have it. So feel that for a second. Think of something that you really want or would desire with your family party and feel how that feels in you. And then on the other side of it, now feel how it is to not need it. Feel that it's almost the energy just lowers down, and it's not bad. It's more neutral feeling. It just is. So when I was working this morning, I do lots of things when I work with people. We talk a lot, feel through the feelings, get everything out, and then travel into the body to feel where things need to be released. There might be energy. It actually looks different for every single person that I work with. Some people, it's more like traveling to an organ and then they release things. Some people, it's just more of a meditation. Then they just know that they're going within. And, it's really beautiful how it looks in each person. And as this person has worked with me for many years, now she's at the very end of another 3-month session with me because she was ready for just that next movement forward. And she's went all in, there's not a joke. Some people it's a lot more gentle, slow moving, even doing every other week. So it takes a lot longer. But anyways, when we went into the meditation, I asked her where she felt this expectation and especially the anger around it. And then she just pretty much not yelled out, but pretty much said spleen. And so she travels inward to that space and she saw what she needed to heal and what she felt. And I just want to point out too, sometimes when you're traveling within or you're meditating, there's either a knowing. Some people have very vivid look, and some people just have lights or a different kind of understanding. And it is just a meditation with words. So as I'm guiding, that's going to look different to each person. But when we went in, and I thought that was very interesting because the spleen really holds a lot of the intuition, anger, emotional connections, and those, all the connection we have to what we expect things. And so honestly, it was for one of the last ones, she has one more session with me. It was extremely powerful. And so looking into how she healed it, and then how she can nurture her body after. That is very important. It was absolutely amazing. It will be life-changing. I haven't heard back from her yet today, but by the end of the session, the softness that she felt and lowering, and this is the expectations thing's been going on for a long time, more than 7 years in her heart. And so being able to connect both those things, like just recognize and noticing where you have the expectations, and then in the body where it's being held, and to energetically smooth it out and to pray over it and to keep connecting that way. So afterwards we talk about, well, she was having sugar cravings, which is also having to do with the spleen, which I think is really, again, timely. And I'm not saying if you have sugar cravings that you have a thing with your spleen. I'm just saying in this specific instance. Um, and then so how you're going to nurture it, ginger and cinnamon teas and, deep hearty stews and all those things like that. When you nourish your body in the way that it needs to heal, and in her case, around expectations, you notice huge change. Yes, you're still going to feel moving forward from this. You're going to feel more around all of this, but you start to take action. So I ask you, where do you have expectations in your life that are not serving you? They're making your heart hurt, that are making life more difficult. Is it to do with family and how parties are, how they reach out to you, how you expect to be treated? So how are you seeing this in your life? That's a huge number one step, because realization is huge. And then how can you take action towards this? Number one, from within, because everything is for you to change and for you to grow from. It's not for everyone else to change. You're never going to change anyone. No, they have to change when they're ready to change. And you setting a good example about what you're doing is pretty much the only thing you can do when you're around other people. And then also, so how are you going to take that action? Do you need to set a boundary? Do you need to say something? This hurts when this happens. But again, you have to go in with zero expectations that your words are going to change them. So notice the expectation and how it feels to want or need a certain thing, or not want or need, I'm sorry, that you want a certain outcome and then not needing it. And I truly believe that when you lower the expectation, or sometimes just remove them completely, everything starts to change, because you are the creator of your joy. You are the one choosing how to react, how to respond to any situation you're in. And you have extreme power within this, even when it doesn't feel good. Someone doesn't reach out when you expected them to, just don't expect that. And it's not giving up faith in humanity. I have this feeling that people are thinking of this, that you're like, well, I can't rely on anyone. You can still rely on people. You can rely on that when you go to work, your boss is going to be this way, and that the people under you are going to do this. Or you can rely on your husband that he is going to pick up groceries every Tuesday night, unless he changes his mind one time. I don't know, or something happens where, he's sick and he can't do that. But it's not having to need those things. Actually learning through the women that I work with and learning right alongside them, and everyone being in their own place and their own understanding and their own, I don't like the word level, but like place of where they're at. There's always a little bit more where I'm like, where am I expecting people to be a certain way? Where am I letting myself be hurt because of these expectations, instead of saying something, like, oh, I'll use the example of the podcast with my friend Emily and I. So we have the Joyful Mamas podcast, and she reached out to me because she knew I was slacking a bit. I'm not going to lie. And there was probably just some like misunderstanding for myself with the information she gave me, because she's super organized and super, on it with everything. But she reached out and just said, are you going to be able to do this? Or do we need to change things? Because it will bother her if, and maybe it would cause like anger in her if she didn't say this to me and like make the change. So that's taking the action within something. And so we decided to do the podcast every other week. Perfect. And it lowered everything for us so that it was more attainable. And also, she is one way of thinking and I'm one other way of thinking. We come together very beautifully, but she said something because of having the desire of how things run and knowing that if it didn't, that wouldn't set well with her. And that's beautiful. But she smoothed it out. And so thinking about things like that being direct, that might mean a boundary. That might mean a boundary within yourself about how you respond to things. It could mean a bunch of different things. But in saying all this, it kind of went into these like two-part of this podcast about expectations and then like how I work with people, and work with my friends too and communicate with them. But if you need help with this, please reach out to me. I love talking about things like this, and I love feeling into it and just helping you on your path, whether it's just with words, the deep meditations, or any other way, even like herbal recommendation, food recommendations, how you're feeling in your body, moving the energy through you, because anger is an energy that needs to be moved through you. So if you have anger about an expectation, you might want to go for that brisk walk or, get on your exercising equipment, or however you move energy through you, dancing. That would be a really good start to it, and just noticing where exactly you're feeling it. So reach out at any time, Jodi at jodilynnturpin.com. Find me on my website, jodilynnturpin.com, or on Instagram or Facebook. It's all Jodi Lynn Turpin. I keep it pretty simple and easy and straightforward. And please comment on how you feel about expectations and how they've made you feel through your life, or even right now in this part of your life. I'd love to talk more about it. All right. Love you all. Have a great day. You've been listening to the Choosing Joy podcast with me, Jodi Lynn Turpin. Be gentle with yourself, trust the timing, and keep choosing joy again and again.